I'm Jerry Burnett, and this is the first of two podcasts that is explaining the Toulmin model of argumentation. Argumentation, what are we talking about? Are we talking about a fight? No, we're talking about an oral argument. Where do we hear oral arguments? One place is in the courtroom. Sometimes at the end of a trial, the prosecutor stands up and talks to the jury and tries to persuade them, this man is guilty or this woman is guilty. But the person that is the defendant's attorney, they stand up and they try to persuade the jury not guilty. So an oral argument isn't really a fight. It's taking a stand, it's making a claim, and it's saying this is what I think is true or right or good or best, and it's making a strong stand. Now, we have left the informative speeches and we've gone on to persuasion speeches. Sometimes we can use Monroe's motivated sequence and use those kinds of things that we learned with that theory to persuade people. Sometimes we can mix them together and take things from this model and mix it with the Toulmin model, with the Monroe's motivated sequence model. So I'm trying to give you a lot of persuasive tools in your persuasive toolbox to use. Persuasion, what is it? It is changing or reinforcing people's attitudes, beliefs, values, or actions. You're trying to get people to either change or you're trying to make them feel even stronger. But what are attitudes? Attitudes are learned predisposition towards something. You don't come from the womb with an attitude. We learn our attitudes through life experience and through other people. Beliefs, what are those? Those are what we think are true, things that are true or false. And our beliefs can actually change throughout our life because we change our mind as we are persuaded to think something might be true or something we thought is true, now we think is false. Values, those are a little bit different. Those are enduring concepts. Those are what you think are right or wrong, good or bad. And those are a little harder to change than the attitudes and beliefs. Now, in the Toulmin model, this is not a new theory. It's been around since 1969. The Johari window theory was from 1955. Maslow's hierarchy of needs was from 1943. And Monroe's motivated sequence went back to 1935. These theories are around a long time because they're good theories. What is a theory? A theory explains and predicts communication phenomena. By phenomena, I don't mean something that's phenomenal. Phenomena is something that is observable, something that happens. So when communication is taking place, these theories explain how it took place, or it can predict, according to that theory, how it's going to happen. So let's take a look at the Toulmin model. This theory says that you first need a claim if you're going to have an oral argument. In this podcast, I'm only explaining that portion of the model. What is a Toulmin claim? You'll need to go to the next podcast to understand the rest of the model. So, Toulmin says you need a claim of fact, value, or policy. Now, some textbooks and some instructors, they don't call it a claim. They call it a proposition of fact, value, or policy, or even a question of fact, value, or policy. But I want you to understand, a Toulmin claim is never a question. It's always a statement that is a short, concise, pithy, potent statement saying something is or is not, was not, are not, should not. It's saying a statement. It's never a question, but I don't know why, but sometimes it's called a question of fact, value, or policy. But for the sake of this explanation of the Toulmin model, Toulmin always uses the word claim. I just wanted you to be aware that when you're in other classes and they talk about a proposition, or in your textbook, they may call it a proposition of fact, value, policy. We're all talking about the same thing. So in the model, it says, first of all, you could have a claim of fact. That's saying something that you think is true or false. Now, any of these claims have to be arguable. And by that I mean, you're taking a stand and saying something is or is not. And somebody else could get up and actually give the opposite opinion or have that the opposite argument. If it's not debatable, it cannot be a Toulmin claim. By that I mean, if I say the moon is made out of cheese, that could be a claim, but it'd be pretty foolish for a college audience. I mean, what person, a thinking person at this level is not going to believe that the moon is made out of cheese? I could make it a fact, a claim of fact to say people are pathetic. Well, yes, that's debatable, but it still wouldn't make a good claim. So if you're going to have a claim of fact, it needs to be something that is debatable. So if you are using a claim of fact, you're going to say something is or is not, was not, if it's past tense, or are not, if it's plural tense. If I say Michael Jackson is a great singer, he's not here anymore, so I'd say was. If I say cigarettes is, no. If I have a plural subject, I need a plural verb to go along with it. But a claim of fact is saying, I think this is true or not true. So I can say it is or it is not. Next is a claim of value. And that's saying a judgment call. I'm saying something is better or worse, bigger or better, slower or faster, safer or less safe. I'm comparing one thing to another thing, or I'm just giving some kind of value judgment. A young man did his speech on Kellogg's cereals are great. Well, in his opinion, the value is they are great. But he could also say Kellogg's cereals are better than Post cereals. That would be adding value, a comparative value to that topic. Whenever you have a claim of fact or value, you will hear the words is not, was not, or are not. Those are the words that tell you you have a claim of fact or value. Now we're going down to the claim of policy, a little bit different. The policy is advocating a change. It's saying that something should or should not. For example, this would not make a good claim. People should breathe air. Well, of course they should breathe air, otherwise they're pushing up daisies. That would be a foolish claim to make. It's not debatable. But if I say, you should vote for my candidate, now that's debatable because you might be for the other candidate. People should give blood. Well, would anybody argue with that? Perhaps some would. So you need an arguable claim, but when you're talking about a policy, you're going to hear the words should or should not. When I was at Eastern Michigan, a young lady, her policy was Eastern Michigan should not be allowed to do dorm checks randomly. She was pretty upset because she had friends in an apartment off campus. They never had their apartment ever invaded by anyone checking for anything. And she didn't think it was right that the officials of the university randomly could just come to her door and go open up her closet doors and check her off, check what she had in her dorm room. Another young man, when I was in Eastern Tennessee, he had gotten 5 tickets in the city of Oak Ridge, and none of them were given to him by a police officer. They were all as the result of those photo enforced cameras. So he took his stand. Photo enforced cameras should be banned in Oak Ridge. He had ego involvement. He cared about his topic. Another girl, one time, her topic, which was very surprising, was self-mutilization is not a precursor to suicide. When I first read her outline, the truth is, I didn't even know what self-mutilization was. I wasn't even sure what she was talking about. But as she gave her speech and I looked more into it, her stand was that when people self-mutilate, and I learned that that's when you cut yourselves with knives or razors and you make yourself bleed and you hurt yourself badly. Her claim was, people aren't trying to kill themselves when they do that. What they're really saying is, my heart hurts, my soul hurts. And to divert their attention or their mind away from the hurt that's inside, the psychological hurt, they focus on hurting their body. So she wanted her audience to know that if they knew someone in their world that was self-mutilating, they didn't really need to call a suicide hotline. They needed to get that person help for their heart. And why did she care? She was a self-mutilator. Now, do you need to have something that crucial or serious? I had another young man. In Tennessee here, we're in the Bible Belt. And this young man had been raised in a Baptist home, and when he was 19, decided to become a Muslim. So his stand was, the Bible is not the Word of God. Well, he was very passionate about his stand because he had ego involvement. And is it debatable? Actually, a lot of people in the Bible Belt think the Bible is the Word of God, so he had a whole lot of people to try to persuade that it wasn't. So, you need a claim for the Toulmin model. It needs to be a claim of fact, value, or policy. If it's a fact, it will say is not, was not, are not. It's value. It will also have these verbs, but when you hear the word should or should not, you're going to know that you're talking about a claim of policy. Lastly, I would like you to understand that one topic can actually be used and turned into any of these claims. For example, let's take your school. You could say, my school is a great school, whatever your school is. My school is academically sound. That would be a claim of fact, and you'd believe it's true. Is it debatable? I bet you can find some people that think your school, whether it's a college or a university, that they're going to think your school maybe isn't so great. The next is I take my school and say, my school is better than this other school. Ohio State is better than the University of Michigan. Or Vanderbilt is better than Tennessee Tech. If you take that kind of a stand, you have a topic, your school, but now you're saying it has value. So how are you going to turn this into a policy statement? I could say, my school should not allow smoking anywhere on campus. Might that be debatable? I think the smokers would debate it. So they might say, smoking should be allowed at this school within 20 feet, as long as you're 20 feet away from the door or something like that. I just want you to see that if you take one topic, Elvis. Elvis is a great, legendary singer. Elvis is a better performer than Michael Jackson. Elvis should be taken out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You can have one topic, and it depends on what you do with that topic. You can turn it into a claim of fact, value, or policy. Now, how you feel about your topic is important. I want you to pick a topic that you have passion about. And it's just possible that your topic is sitting somewhere on your personal inventory that was in your workbook. You might find exactly what you need because one section of your inventory says 3 things that bug you at home, work, or school. Maybe you want to say this should not be done or should be done. 2 things that should change in the country, in the state, in the city you're living in, or maybe in your school. How about the best or the worst TV performers, movies, singers, bands? Maybe you have what you think are the 2 best authors or the worst authors. Pick something you've got passion for, but listen, it's not just about how you feel. I feel abortion is wrong. I feel women should have a choice. I feel abortion should be legal. No matter what stand you take, I feel is not really grounds. I do want you to pick something you're passionate about, but just try to remember, along with passion, Aristotle said you need 2 more things. You need ethical information to back up your claim, and then you especially need logic. So I'm looking forward to seeing some very logical, debatable Toulmin claims in your speeches. Thank you.